The hero, the shadow, the anima, the animus, the self, the persona, the sage, the trickster, the child, the mother, the father, the explorer, the rebel, the creator, the jester, the lover, the caregiver, and the orphan. These are all the archetypes that represent forces in our lives, that shape our lives, that help give us structure and meaning to this healing journey.
Welcome, I'm Elise.
And I'm Jess, and this is Spiritual Alchemy,
the podcast where we explore the intersection of science and spirituality
and how it shapes our everyday lives.
If you joined us last week, we talked a lot about these archetypes, the victim specifically. We talked about the saboteur and how these manifest in our lives. And today we're diving back in with part 2.
Welcome back to our listeners. We're glad you've joined us for part 2 of Archetypes with Spiritual Alchemy Podcast.
So we left off, you had brought up the healer and the wounded healer. We left off talking about victim archetype, what that looks like, what that entails.
I want to reiterate that you're a wounded warrior, you're not broken, and that each battle we feel like we fight is setting you up to be a better warrior for that next scenario in your life.
Yeah. So the healer archetype represents individuals who embody compassion, empathy, deep understanding of the human condition. We have they offer a practical guidance to others, emotional support, and even spiritual mentorship to others. If you have an empathic friend, that's your healer. And when you are that friend that's supportive, that's your healer archetype.
And also recognizing that we can flip-flop between who we are. Your archetype doesn't just stay the same. You're not always going to stay in one category, because I think we have to give ourselves a lot of space to know that you're going to be the healer sometimes, and then other times you're going to be the warrior, and then you'll be the wounded healer. And you surround yourself with people that allow you to kind of ebb and flow through these archetypes, and then they also shift accordingly without being like so overtly, hey, I'm hurt right now, I need you to hold space. You find people that can see your pain, and they're like, even if maybe something bad happened to me that day, but like if I see that you're in bigger pain than maybe me getting cut off on Santa Monica Boulevard, I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to be like, how can I hold space for you?
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, to echo it, it's like we're constantly, as you like to say, ebbing and flowing between these different archetypes. And to summarize, it's kind of like a little journey. It's almost like going through your grades, going through, like, first you're in first grade, and then you're in second grade. Once you learn all the things from second grade, you get to go to third grade. And if you don't learn things, you get held back, and you have to stay in that grade again. And I like this mirror of the healer and the wounded healer. And it kind of, something you just said sparked like a realization that the healer is this empathic, offers emotional support. The wounded healer is the healer who gives too much.
Ooh.
The wounded healer who is the healer who gave too much and is now resentful because most likely their ability to give has been taken advantage of.
I can give an example of this. So I'm the oldest of four, and I've really been a trailblazer in my family as far as like what it means to grow up and be a young adult in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And sometimes I speak to my younger siblings, and they'll complain. They'll probably listening, love you. But like oh, I can't believe mom did this, or I can't believe dad said that. And it makes me giggle because I'm like, you think this is bad? Let me tell you what it was like 10 years ago. And I always give the analogy that like, so you're in the trenches. Who do you think dug the trenches? And I have had to work so hard in therapy to not let that turn into resentment. It kind of a story that I'd shared with you earlier that I have to allow space for everybody to change. My parents were not the same parents when I was their age. And so they've changed and their parental style has changed. But like you had said, I'm the wounded healer a lot, and I had to learn what I could give as far as emotional support to my siblings.
And part of the wounded healer is kind of like what you just said of like, you're in the trenches, but I dug them. It's the need for recognition of I'm a healer, but like you're like it's almost like my horse is bigger than your horse. Like it's a little like my trenches are deeper than your trenches.
And
it is not about comparing, and that is also a lesson the wounded healer needs to learn.
Like I said, I worked so hard because I think for years what I wanted was just someone to give me validation like, hey, yeah, you had it so much harder than me. But when you're going through whatever it is in that moment, it's hard to be able to say to the person who dug your trenches, if you can even recognize that they dug your trenches, you did have it harder than me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't expect somebody to say that when they're going through that, because I wouldn't have been able to say that.
Well, so, and everybody's experience is unique.
Exactly.
Because you like what you went through, yes, you should not have gone through that, and there's no excuse for it. But it's also like that was what you went through, and that was your experience. And because of the wisdom you gained in that, now you're here to help guide.
Keyword.
Guide. And that is in the definition of the healer. So the healer archetype is multifaceted. It's a role that encompasses many forms of healing, from physical remedies to emotional, spiritual guidance. These individuals will have extensive knowledge in traditional medicine, therapists, spiritual counselors, or anyone who embodies comparison and a desire to alleviate suffering. This individual would oftentimes, these individuals possess strong intuition, a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of the human experience, allowing them to offer effective and personalized solutions. And I think that that's a little limiting of a definition, because I don't think it is just limited to your occupation, because you can be a therapist and not be a healer. You could be a doctor and not be a healer. Healing is so
open, raw.
Yeah.
Because this is me being vulnerable. Do you have conversations in your head with like yourself about what you would do in certain scenarios with a certain people?
Oh yes, I call it a group conference. The collective we needs to have a conversation, me, myself, and I.
So I've noticed this for years, and I've been working on it for years, and I try not to let those voices be like so mean or have the worst case scenario conversation in my head, because if it happens in my head, then it can't happen out in the open. And bringing it back to the healer, you can't know what you're going to say before you're going to say it. And I feel like a lot of people practice.
Yeah.
And I have found so much more freedom in just, I've talked about this before in the podcast, living really presently, listening, and letting conversations be a tennis match, not just a one-sided game.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it has allowed me to just be so much more open and vulnerable for people and be able to hold space for people. But it's a practice.
Oh, 100%. Again, I echo and I say that I 100% used to be a lot more like, if I had a confrontation that I needed to say to somebody like, hey, you overstepped a boundary, and have that conversation. Confrontation's really hard for me because I don't like to fight. And what I anticipate is, how are you going to respond when they come at you mean? or when they come at you aggressively. And I mean, probably a trauma response from certain relationships, but it's very much like I used to be like, okay, like take deep breaths. Like you're going to keep your cool, you're not going to escalate, you don't go up to their level, you stay here and bring them down to keep the conversation neutral or things like that. But that's why I would do it more. And now I do it a lot less.
So we haven't gotten to the definition of the wounded healer, but I would like to give this example, and then I will give the definition of the wounded healer. That I would argue the healer has the ability to stay a little more calm and neutral in giving hopefully an unbiased viewpoint. Whereas the wounded healer will probably more likely escalate or raise the emotional temperature to meet maybe someone has self-sabotaged, or maybe someone is the victim, which can happen. And I would argue that the wounded healer has a hard time staying neutral. They can still offer space, and they can still offer, an ear and maybe some good words of wisdom. But when you're going up to their level, what's the word? How productive is that?
It's not, because then you're just the reason. And I think I said this a couple episodes ago, and I will keep saying it again and again until everybody hears it, because it is the truest thing. I think when people are wrong, they are loud. And if you're confronting somebody for something that they did to you that is wrong, they will get loud, because no, I would never do that. I would never act that. I didn't do that. You're thinking about it wrong. You're so sensitive. Or I didn't cut you off. You were going too slow. Because people can't take responsibility for their actions. They can't. Part of the healer is like being able to face that you may have hurt and you have to heal, or been hurt and have to heal that wound. But why do we even need healers? Because people are wounding each other left and right without even thinking about it. Like the lack of awareness is, and it's like you said, like conversations, having these talks with people, it's not a one-sided game. It's a tennis match. It's two people. I wouldn't even call it a match, because somebody wins at the end of a match.
It's just a game.
It's just a game.
It's like when you play, it's when, do you remember playing games as kids? Like you'd pick up badminton or ping pong. I could never understand how to keep score in ping pong. Never. So you would just play.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. You just play. And that's the type of people that you want to surround yourself with. You want to surround yourself with people who don't keep score.
Yes. Because there are people who do. I was just,
wow.
I took this thought and I said, say it. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to.
You want to surround yourself with
people who don't keep score. Because there are going to be people who try to win at everything.
I call it the tit for tat.
Yeah.
You tit, I tat. Like, oh God, this is so exhausting to be a tit for tat.
I really just am like, it must be so tiring to just be so
petty,
angry.
No, that too.
And like that, because think of where all that energy roots from. It's not happiness. It's not joy.
Well, anger is a mix of everything.
That's what I mean. Like, it's all rooted in pain, either self-inflicted wounds,
shame, guilt, grief,
fear,
trauma.
It's sad, but it's also like, you gave an analogy this morning to me that was, it's like, how long can you keep running before you run into yourself, or something like that?
A therapist. I shared with Jess, my last therapist in New York State before I moved out to California. And once I moved, he couldn't treat me anymore because I was out of state. And he was all for my move. But one of the last things he said to me, and he helped me a lot through a very dark period in my life, and if he ever finds this, shout out. He said, good luck, But reminder, you can't outrun yourself, because I think he was mirroring to me that all my road trip travels, the moving across the country, I was so desperately trying to run from myself.
Mm-hmm.
And his last parting words of wisdom were, you can't outrun yourself. So good luck and goodbye. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, bye. I want to be true to my definition of wounded healer, which I haven't gotten to yet. This archetype is rooted in the work of Carl Jung, recognizes that personal struggles can be a source of wisdom and empathy. Individuals who have experienced significant pain or hardship may find themselves drawn to the path of healing, as they can connect with the suffering of others on a deeper level. Their personal journey of healing can empower them to offer genuine support and guidance as they have walked the path of healing themselves. So it's the beautiful aspect of the wounded healer is it comes from, unfortunately, hard circumstances, I would say. But like I said, I would argue that the wounded healer has to work twice as hard to regulate their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're pulling from your own experiences, you can't let that get so
Bleed.
wrapped up into whatever is happening
Yeah.
in front of you or who you're trying to help.
There's definitely, I mean, I've shared this before that I find within with a lot of people in my life. I tend to be a healer. I tend to be someone that people turn to for advice, for comfort, for just that guidance. And one, I'm like, me? Oh, okay. But the other part of that is that I know when I'm going through my shit, I can't show up for people the same way. And I have really had to learn to separate. I can be here and support you, but I can't do this work with you and I can't do it for you, but I can witness you doing the work. And I think there's a good boundary to be set there for the healers in the world of, just because you have the wisdom, just because you have the knowledge, share it, but don't overextend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And also don't let your wounds don't bleed all over people.
Yeah,
That's my roommate says that all the time. She's like, I can't I can't help you with your wounds if I'm bleeding.
yeah.
We're just gonna be it's
It's
gonna
the
be messy and we won't know whose is whose.
it's the airplane, right? If the things drop out,
Mm-hmm.
what do they tell you in all the videos? That you have to help, you have to put yourself, you have to put your mask on first before you help somebody else. Because if
Yes.
you're passed out from no oxygen, you sure as hell can't help the person next to you.
Yeah.
It's when I win, you win.
Mm-hmm.
Your pain is my pain, but I get to draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's an honor to witness
Mm-hmm.
you reclaim your pain, to infuse your power and watch your evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm either, hey, I got two hands to hold you up, or all I can give you is a finger.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's up to me to know.
Yes.
Or the self. It's up to the self to know.
A lot of awareness and a lot of owning your shit.
Mm-hmm. The healer and the wounded healer, how do they show up in various ways? I mean, we've kind of already touched upon a lot of this, that providing emotional support and counseling, healers and wounded healers offer guidance to support navigating life's challenges. And both are very helpful. I'm not trying to paint one better than the other. I'm just really trying to delineate the differences between them.
Yeah. So, I mean, both of them provide emotional support and counseling,
Mm-hmm.
offer spiritual mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
engage in community healing, share personal stories, and embrace that authenticity and being vulnerable with others.
Yeah.
It's like not from a place of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You never heal from a place of, ooh, you're broken. It's always from a place of, hey, we can get through this together.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a triumph.
Yeah.
When witnessing your own pain and then getting to a point where you can truly witness someone else's pain.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful. And I also, for anyone listening, I also respect if you're not there, because I've been there, and I've overextended myself, and I have met people along the way who have been in the trenches, and they have spoken up like you, and they're like, I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already going through it. And at the time, I took it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm a little more enlightened, I'm like, oh,
I think it's less like enlightenment. It's more like just coming into that emotional awareness. Because I don't want to say emotional maturity. I think they're part of it is emotional maturity, but it's like emotional awareness
mm-hmm.
and being aware that, yeah, what I'm going through is big. It's a heavy lift, but specifically, like I'll talk to a specific friend and share things. And I always preface by saying, like, hey, do you have space for this?
Oh, I love friends that do that.
And I just will say, like, yeah, do you have space for this? Yes or no? I think I do this with you too. Two, I get that it's a heavy lift. And I always say, I am not asking you to help me with this load. I
Sometimes you
need
got to put
someone
it
to
down.
hear.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to put it down for a minute.
Yeah.
And then you pick it back up and you keep going.
Yeah. And what I like to say is I process things by vocalizing them. When I say it, it becomes real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a thought. It's like, oh, okay, I can share this. Once I say it, it usually helps me
Process it.
And that's just me. But like if you find out what way you process, maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Like I'm the same as you. That's why we're friends. That's why we're doing this. Professional yappers.
Yeah.
But my partner is not a talk it through. More alone time to process, and it's kind of beautiful to like witness something that I haven't seen a lot of people. I've never seen practiced by people, because I've seen explosive behavior, I've seen toxic behavior. I've worked really hard to get where I am. I'm building my tribe of people who seem to have a lot of similar communication styles as I do. And then it's so funny to like end up with a partner where I'm like, this could not be more opposite, but it works because it's a reminder of the other side of people who don't want to talk it through. And it's made me more respectful of when people are like, I don't want to talk about it. Because old me would get anxious. I'd be like, what do you mean you don't want to talk about it? Something really bad just happened. Why do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
And I'd push and I'd poke. And I've learned to be like, okay.
I've also learned, like, with that, in the seclusion and the isolation and like being like, not everybody needs to know. And I equate that to like, not everybody needs access to you. Not everybody needs every detail of your story. Not everybody needs that access to you, and not everybody should. But again, it's also the same thing of when you're talking about it, everybody all the time, it kind of becomes that like help.
Yeah, your story doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful and important to share.
Yeah.
So for people who may be listening who feel like they're quiet, and then hopefully this is sparked, like, why do you get quiet? Is that actually because you need that seclusion to figure it out? Or are you afraid that your story isn't perfect? And so it's not important to tell.
Yeah.
And I would say that dig deeper, because that's something to figure out.
It's a lot.
I know.
Yeah. So key traits of a wounded healer: empathy and compassion. They are a healer. Intuition and insight. They have that natural ability to find the root of the issue and offer a solution to it. Courage, resilience. They overcome struggles and they're able to inspire others to do the same. Self-awareness. They can recognize their own limitations and avoid projecting their own wounds onto others. The paradox. So the wounded healers experience pain and suffering paradoxically, which makes them a powerful source of healing. Their vulnerability can create a safe space for others to explore their own wounds. and their personal journey of healing can inspire others to embark on their own paths of transformation. And I go back to, it's not so much that this is the difference between the healer and the wounded healer. I think the wounded healer, it's more about not letting your wounded healer become the shadow of the wounded healer. The shadow of the wounded healer is the one that keeps the score. The shadow of the wounded healer is the one that is not emotionally self-aware enough.
The one that raises the emotional stakes and meets the victim or the saboteur where they're at instead of saying,
yeah. And if you're on your wounded healer lesson, you might need to learn these things of self-awareness, intuition, insight, like that sharing, the empathy. You might, it's like you maybe you're coming into that, and that's the grade that you're learning. Like we said, if you don't, I think all of these archetypes have a light side and a shadow side. Let's make it that simple.
Yep.
The light side of the wounded healer is this: the empathy, the compassion, being able to relate to others through their journey. There's a dark side to the wounded healer that just gets stuck on, look at my wounds, but I'm a healer and I've gone through it. Because we've seen the toxic traits of it.
This is a quote from my dad that he always says, don't let your pain be your poison. You have to learn to alchemize your pain into medicine. And that is what a wounded healer is. They've taken their pain and they've turned it into medicine for themselves,
for others,
for other people. But you can't let your pain be your poison. And I think we have a society full of people that won't recognize that that's what it is. Your pain is your poison. It's poisoning you from the inside out because you haven't alchemized it. You haven't looked at it. You haven't recognized it in whichever way you need to, because we're all having our unique journey, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Do it. Do it good.
All right. The lover archetype in both personal development and fiction represents a deep desire for connection, intimacy, passionate experiences, characterized by emotional depth, a love of beauty and pleasure, and a commitment to meaningful relationships. This archetype, it's not just like love, it's linked to pleasure, devotion, emotional risk, because the lover prioritizes passionate experiences and is willing to invest emotionally, sometimes at the expense of boundaries and safety.
They're a lover, not a fighter.
I mean, it is just, I would argue, if I was at like a table of philosophers, I would argue at the core of each person's existence is this desperate need to be seen and heard. And I think that drive is when the lover archetype comes out, because we'll do anything to be seen and anything to be heard,
loved,
anything to be loved
and celebrated. Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard out there.
So to elaborate, pleasure, the lover archetype is drawn to experiences that evoke sensory pleasure, aesthetic appreciation, and emotional fulfillment. This can manifest in romantic relationships, artistic pursuits, or simply just enjoying the finer things of life. We've got devotion, which is known, lover archetypes are known for their dedication to their chosen loves, whether romantic, familiar, or platonic. They're committed to nurturing and sustaining their relationships, often showing appreciation and gratitude. The emotional risk of it all, though. Let's talk about that. So lovers' intense emotional investment can lead to emotional vulnerability and the risk of heartbreak and disappointment if their relationships are not reciprocated or met with the same expectations. They're willing to risk their own well-being for the sake of love and connection. Love at any cost.
Yeah, my heart is just hurting thinking about, teenage me, 20-something-year-old me. I mean, I have just loved so many people, and I will say up until probably a year or two ago, I judged myself hard for that. I was like, I loved so many people and
Mm.
it wasn't reciprocated.
I always say, because yeah, like I've loved people before and it been like, oh, like later on I would judge myself for it and be like, oh, that was embarrassing. Like what did I see in them? But then I flipped the lens on it and I was like, how beautiful for that person that they
Mm.
were able to be loved and that I was able to love them, maybe in a space where they didn't love themselves
Yeah,
and they weren't ready to accept that love. But hopefully one day they look back on that and they're like, wow, because it's nice to be loved.
it's nice to be seen.
It's nice to be seen. So, like, how nice for that person, even if it wasn't reciprocated or given back. I don't feel like I've lost anything because good for good for you. You caught my attention. Good for you. You know, like you should listen. Put it on a T-shirt or
It's
a
just
sticker.
sometimes Jess's Aries parts of her come out, and I'm just sitting here like this little fish flopping around. I'm like,
And then
all
I'm
right.
like, names.
So examples of this emotional risk is characters like Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers,
Mm,
right? Or those in romantic comedies that embody this archetype. We are talking about movies earlier. Shout out mom. I used to get grounded when I watched movies in like fourth, fifth grade that I wasn't allowed to watch.
mm.
And then years later, I asked her, I was like, where did that come from? Like, why did you ground me for watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding? And she was like, because I went to see Grease. And
Oh.
then her parents saw Grease and they were like horrified that my mom, who was a
Mm.
teenager at the time, saw Grease. And what's the theme of Grease? She changed herself for
Oh.
the man.
Yep.
And that's why my grandma was mad that my mom saw Grease as a teenager because
Oh.
I mean, shout out to Grandma May, you know, her thought process was if my daughter's impressionable as a teenager,
Mm.
she's going to think that you have to change yourself for a man.
I will say though, I didn't get that as the message from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And just specifically because I think if you've not seen that movie, I like that it's she changed for herself
Yeah,
and then found her
my mom
love.
just didn't like me watching that because they talked about sex in it and I was like in fourth grade. But
Yeah.
the lover archetype makes for wonderful storytelling as far back as
Oh
Shakespeare
yeah.
to these, modern age romantic comedies. It's a wonderful blueprint for writers.
I think it's also like think of not just someone who's like romantically in love, but also think like zest for life.
Mm.
A person who just loves life and being alive is like the sky. You know who it's Rapunzel in the Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's Entangled. Yes. So it's Rapunzel Entangled. She is like so bright and everything is bright and shiny and I want to go see the lights and like she has that inner battle with herself, but I just think of that first moment when she like touches grass for the first time after she leaves the house and she's just like, this is the best day ever. And that's like the lover archetype. Like every day is the best day ever. Everything is a new, beautiful experience. The flowers blooming is a gift. Like
Yeah.
they are rose colored glasses. The lover sees the world through rose colored glasses.
Oh, I think I was the lover until I moved from my small little town of Buffalo, New York to big cities. And then I was very quickly humbled. And I was like, oh.
I think arguably the lover is in all of us. And I think that unfortunate life experiences and traumas come in and dim our light and take those rose colored glasses and maybe think of like people who have a harsher view on the world and say the world is cruel, the world is unkind. And
It's the shadow side.
the shadow, there is a, like I said, there's a light and a shadow to every archetype. So do you want to tell us about the shadow side for the lover?
The negative aspect of a lover archetype can be a tendency to become overly reliant on external validation and relationships, potentially leading to dependence, or what we would in modern psychology terms call codependency, possessiveness, or even sacrificing their own identity in an attempt to fit in with a partner. So I say it like the shadow lover trades intuition for attention and will abandon themselves before they ever ghost someone else because they're at the core of it people pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
I think we throw around people pleaser. I mean, in
Here's the thing about being a people pleaser. It's like nobody's pleased, including yourself. People pleasing benefits no one.
Yeah, that might be
Not
it.
even yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're not happy.
And it's a harsh reality, and I'm personally, I struggle with this when it comes to like work. I think probably everybody struggles when it comes to work with people pleasing. Like, how much better would the world just be if we were all just honest?
I mean, we were also brought up on the East Coast, which is hustle culture. We were, if you're not on time, well, actually, it was if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're very late. Don't bother coming. You're fired. And also these high expectations of like everything has to be dropped, everything has to be done perfectly. Like we had such pressure on us, that our generation. And we got to find the balance between the two. You can still be a good hard worker and have boundaries. It's a ripple effect. So we are just the droplets starting the ripple. And if you truly believe in, I truly believe in leading by example. I truly believe in living by example.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the way my life looks, ask me what I'm doing. Ask me about the work I'm doing on myself. Because guess what? I didn't get here in a day. I didn't just wake up with this life. I worked really hard for it. And I still work really hard for it. And it's the same thing as like, you see people that you admire, ask them about the things you admire about them. Because you might get an answer, and then maybe you inspire somebody else to do work on themselves.
Beautiful. And it's, to tie it back to the lover archetype, it's that zest to be seen. It's the drive for love, intimacy, passionate experiences, while calculating and understanding the emotional risks and potential for vulnerability that come with asking somebody that you may have never said, hey, I admire this about you, will you tell me about that? Is a vulnerable thing to ask somebody that maybe has been in your life for a really long time. And it's just committing to dig deep and continue to find the love in everything, because love's the highest vibration. We talk about low frequency stuff. Love is like the ultimate. If we can all get there, we're good.
So we should all possess a little bit of the lover, I think. So why don't we jump into some fun stuff, because we both took our archetype quizzes, which we'll share the link in the description. Elise, what was your archetype?
So interestingly enough, Jess and I had the same archetype almost exactly for the self, the Carl Jung's description. But then I took a spiritual archetype test, and I got the alchemist.
Ooh, I did both. Yeah, so as well. So tell us about the alchemist.
So the alchemist is most famously associated with the esoteric practice of turning metals into gold. If you've been following us, that's our first episode we talked about.
It's so fitting because it's like we're literally spiritual alchemy.
Yeah. And alchemists seek spiritual unity, blessings, atonement, and alignment through the practice of rituals, spells, and ceremonies. Often these rituals, spells, and ceremonies include the invocation of non-physical beings such as spirits and elemental forces through the careful arrangement, manipulation, or construction of physical objects. So I'm going to share this because I think it's so funny. When Jess and I were starting this podcast, we were like, what's going to be our coined term? And anybody who knows me knows that I will always remind and tell you to go touch a tree. And I had offered that, and Jess so beautifully said, that's a you thing. And I was like, it is a me thing, because it's what I've been telling people for years. And everyone's like, what are you like, you having a bad day? Go touch a tree. Go put your feet on grass. And that's alchemy. That's my belief in that plants and our Mother Earth carry a vibration that we can't see, but they were here and have been here long before humans. And I think
they will be here long after.
And they will. And I think there is a beautiful magic to plants that we are just scratching the surface of understanding. And so my belief system is that if you touch a plant, a living thing that can't speak back to you, you are connecting with something outside of yourself. So I'm like, being an alchemist, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I took the self quiz as well, and we both got, and I will share that real quick because we've gone over pretty much all of these. We got the innocent child.
We were both about the same on that.
Yep. We got the magician,
which aligns with the alchemist for
Yep.
me.
The Joker. We both are lighthearted and fun and
Funny.
love to have a silly time. And I got the Great Father. Did you get the Great Father?
That was where I differed. I got the Great Mother.
Oh, so funny. I do have daddy energy.
And I have more maternal. It takes a long time for me to tap into my divine masculine.
And vice versa. It takes a long time for me to tap into my divine feminine. And I very much sit in my masculine a little bit more. I'm trying to work on the balance. So I think we bring out a nice balance in each other.
And when you take this test, you'll see like there's certain percentages, and we have almost the exact same percentages of innocent child, magician, and Joker.
Yeah.
So I was like, that makes sense.
We're just two peas in a little pod. But my spiritual archetype was the mystic. Mystics love experiencing firsthand the blissful union of divinity. This archetype is drawn towards transcending the ego and melting the boundaries between you and the infinite consciousness. It's deeply sensitive, intuitive, perceptive, always having this sense that there is something beyond the ordinary. And the pursuit of earthly pleasures, such as fame, status, and riches, has never appealed to this archetype to the same extent that it does others. As a mystic, they yearn for wisdom, love, and the ultimate freedom that comes from merging with your true nature. And they're devoted to exploring the mystery that is life and inviting the presence of the divine into everyday life. The ultimate achievement in life is the unio mystica, the spiritual marriage between the self and the soul. I feel very resonant with that.
I mean, even our friendship feels, I would describe it as mystical. You know, I had been howling at the moon for years alone and moved to LA, and
then I said, come howl at the moon with me.
And my roommate knew you through work. I didn't know Jess, and then one day you guys were talking, and I think she told you about how I do my full moon rituals, and Jess said, come on in. And we've kind of just started to build this community simply because I was the little alchemist all by myself in a little corner doing my thing, and you somehow, your magic was able to find these people to bring us together. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And you've alchemized this podcast. So
we're doing it.
We're doing it. I like our matchup. So
journal prompts.
Journal prompts.
So which archetype is most active in my life right now? Ask yourself this, and how is it shaping my thoughts, choices, or relationships? So perhaps go take one of these tests. Listen to the podcast, the first part, because that's when we really break down everything, and figure out what you ebb and flow between. What part of me is still wanting to be seen, loved, or understood, and which archetype might be holding that wound? Are you the wounded warrior? Are you the saboteur? Are you the victim? Dive into that. Inner child. When was the last time I abandoned my true self to feel safe, accepted, or loved? And what would it look like to choose differently next time? So a practice that I would say is like, you can go back and journal in the present tense as if that situation was happening right now. It's a very thought-provoking journal prompt. I do it at a time that works for you because it can bring up a lot of emotions, but I have found that to be so healing to think back to a situation and then journal about it in the present tense, how I wish it would have gone down, what I wish I would have said, those conversations in my head, getting them out.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you were here.
For more information on our episodes and to connect with us on social media,
Follow us at Spiritual Alchemy Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
stay golden!